Good afternoon. Well, it's coming to 4 o'clock. Hope you guys enjoyed my video I made yesterday. Right now, I'm making this video with my charger plugged on my phone because my battery died. Yeah. As soon as I arrived home, my battery died. So right now my battery's at 3% because the charger's inside. I can make what? I can make the video, right? Yeah. Just got back from my shift at Dinty's. Was today busy, Ivan? Yeah, today was pretty busy. It was very slow in the morning, and around like 11:30, 12, it got very busy. And I had to wash a shitload of dishes. But Dinty's is not as bad as Coco Fruity, right? Even though I was a little bit stressed out, Dinty's is not that bad because I don't have to wash every single dish because Dinty's, the restaurant closes at 9. So all I have to do is just clear the dish pit a little bit, clean the charcoal, clean all the kitchen dishes, and 3 o'clock I'm out of there. Whereas Coco Fruity, because they close at 2:30, you have to wash every dish they bring. You have to wash the whole thing. You have to close in the dish pit and wash the whole thing. Hence why it's a lot of work. It's more work. For Dinty's, I only have to take out like 5-6 garbage bags, but the garbage bags are not heavy. They're not that heavy. Whereas Coco Fruity, like I have to take out like 9-10 bags, and the bags at Coco Fruity are fucking heavy, man. They're heavy bags. And I have to do a shitload of cardboard too. I also have to mop. Dinty's, I don't have to mop. I only have to mop my dish pit area. That's it. I don't have to mop the restaurant at Dinty's. I don't have to do the order. I don't have to take out that much garbage. They even break the boxes for me, the guys. Yeah. At Dinty's, they break the boxes for me. The boxes they're already broken. I just take them outside. I only have to take out maybe not that much cardboard these. Whereas Coco Fruity is crazy. I have to take out a bunch of cardboard. And garbage, yeah, it's way more work. I also have to do the order too sometimes. Yeah. That's why I'm looking for another job. This Thursday I want to apply at the McDonald's. Tim Hortons. Yeah. Yeah. If you get the job, you're going to quit Coco Fruity, yes. If I get the McDonald's job or the Tim Hortons job, I'm going to tell the Coco Fruity boss, okay, I can give him a 2-week notice. Yeah. I can work for you for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I'm done. He's like, why? Why do you want to leave? I'm like, yeah, the work's a bit tough on my body. He's like, I can do dishes. Okay, if you can really do dishes, why don't you do the dishes? There's a reason why you don't want to do dishes because you know it's a lot of work. That's why you don't want to do the dishes. There you go. Obviously, because I heard the Coco Fruity boss. He told me, I can do the dishes myself. Well, if you can do the dishes yourself, why don't you work and do the dishes? There's a reason why you don't want to do the dishes because it's not fun washing dishes. Coco Fruity, washing dishes at Coco Fruity is a lot of fucking work. And that's why all your dishwashers quit on you, man. Because you put them alone on a fucking weekend, man. I don't want to work fucking Saturdays and Sundays alone. Fuck that. Yeah, man, that's why I'm looking for another job. I'm not gonna fucking work Saturdays alone and be stressed out and washing all those fucking dishes. Are you crazy, man? It's too much work, man. You're gonna stress me out, yeah. There's nothing worse when you work weekends. You wash dishes, you have to take dishes out, obviously, and on weekends, every 5 minutes they bring in a bunch of plates, a bunch of cutlery. It's crazy. Bunch of glasses, and it's so stressing. That's why Anthony quit, because the work was too tough on him, obviously. Anthony could have easily stayed and worked weekends, but he's like, nah, I have this other job. I enjoy the other job more than this job. He's like, fuck it, I'm quitting. Yeah, he doesn't want to do the dirty work on weekends, right? Anthony, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. And that's why the gate's not touching my money, man. You had me work minimum wage my whole life, or almost 40 years of my life. I don't know, the 20 billion off the Xanus books for me, VG, is not for you. You're not touching my money, man. You had make your choices on the world. This money's mine. You're not touching it. There you go. I have the keys. I don't have to sell to you. Yeah. Well, the gatekeepers try to get half of your money. No, it's either we control your brand or you die, Ivan. The gatekeepers are so greedy they wouldn't even let me get 50% of my own brand. Yeah, because they're greedy pigs. They want to control the Ivan. We want to control everything in the world. Either you bow to us or you die. I'm like, yeah, fuck you. I'm not selling you, man. I'd rather wait a while and have you do it, man. No way. The Xanus brand is mine. You're not touching my money, man. No fucking way, man. When you have all those trillions in your bag and you get me poor, I'm not gonna let you take control over my brand. Like, I have the keys. I don't have to sell to you, man. The Xanus brand is mine. It's not yours. The 20 billion off the book, whatever it is, that's my money. Me, VJ's money. It's not yours. You're not touching it, man. Yeah, you make your choices on the well, this money is for me, VJ. It's not for you. You're just a greedy pig, man. I have the keys on myself. You don't hate those, then yeah. He's hired. How much money did you make off your amazing masterpiece? I made $20 million. You made $20 million off your book? I'm like, yeah. She's like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. I know. 20 million bucks, man. Yeah. We can build that like dream like 700 million house. I know. We can start on film studio with that money. I know. We can start on film studio and fund the Xanus movie for $2.1 million. Yeah. 700 million per volume. Right now, what you get Peter on the budget, right? Or Mel Gibson for the movie, based off your amazing masterpiece. You have your novel, Ivan. Yeah. Yeah. So the gatekeepers are greedy psychopaths. Yes. All the $400 trillion made around the world, they control all that, and they want to take my 20 million off my book. They're fucking greedy pigs, man. $20 million is pocket change to the gatekeepers because they're enemies. They don't want me living and control my money and living that life with VJ, multiple VJ. They want to control my brand because they have an envy. Because I know even though 20 billion is pocket change to them, Ivan O'Mara and Victoria Justice with $20 billion in their bank with the keys again, it was a lot of power, man. They can make their easy tens of millions and billions off their movies. They don't want me to be that rich. That's why they want to control my brand because they're crazy people. You're not touching my money, man. Zero. That money's for me. It's not for you. You won't let me touch your money. You're not touching my money either. That's how it works. There you go. I'm gonna tell them that. When I was born, you said no to me making money in this world I created. This book I wrote, you didn't write. You're not touching my money either. You won't let me touch your money. You're not touching my money either. That's how it works, right? You can't be selfish, man. What about you won't let me touch your money, and then I write my book, and you also want to touch my money too because you're fucking greedy and selfish, yeah. Greedy psychopaths. Zero, man. The trillions of the world goes to you. The $20 million off the book is for me, Luigi. You're not touching it, man. This is my money. It's not yours. There you go. I have the keys on myself. So you don't hate those, and yeah. Yeah. Why the Gates want to control our brand? There's a few reasons. The first reason, they have an envy. They don't want me and VJ being multi-billionaires and controlling our money. The first reason, they don't want me and VJ controlling our money. The second reason, they have an envy. They don't want me and VJ living that multi-millionaire life. Yeah, I don't want to even live in the multi-millionaire life with VJ. So those are the reasons why they want to know it. And they also know my book is the best fast novel written, and they know my brand, my Xanus brand, will be more popular than Harry Potter. That's why they want to control it, because they're greedy pigs. Yeah, Ivan Xanus book will be more popular than our Harry Potter. Because the gatekeepers, they own everything in the world. Even the Harry Potter franchise they own, right? They own everything. That's why I can't make any money in the world. Because everything in the world they own. They own it in the sense that like they take a piece of all the money in the world. They control it all. All the businesses in the world, they take a piece of it. Yeah. You just find my family even have power over the government, man. Like they're big. They have power over Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, we just find my family the boss over Donald Trump, man. Crazy, huh? They're the fucking gatekeepers, man. They're the boss. They control all of the money in the world, man. The gatekeeper is a crazy story. I mean, he's Ivan, so is he? Yes, VJ. That's how powerful our families are. They're acting. They have to hide the wealth. Yeah. They're the boss, right? Everyone has to listen to them, yeah. And that's why people see them as like the gods of the money system. Because they control all the money in the world. But the Xanus brand, I wrote it, and it's my brand, you're not touching my money. That's my money. I don't know, the $20 billion book. It's for me, but it's not for you. I know you can't stand the fact of me being a multi-billionaire is what I want to be with my wife. And being a famous author and having my book be more popular than Harry Potter. But if you don't like it, I'm sorry. You won't let me make money in this world. You can't be poor working minimum wage. I'm not going to let you take my money after what you put through my life, man. You're crazy. Causing that mess, yelling at me throughout my life, having the cops arrest me, pepper spray me, throwing me in the hospital, deleting my file, breaking all my movies, breaking all my games, taking my Chromecast, taking my PlayStation 3 and all stuff. You're not touching it and taking money from me even when I'm poor. The money on the books from me, VJ, you're not touching it. It's my money, not yours. You're just a greedy psychopath. Yeah. Yeah. As the gatekeepers are what? They're repping people Ivan. You would be just family, they're repping people Ivan. Yeah, they're repping me. Yeah. So like, when do you think you'll pay the fee? In my late 30s, probably when I'm like 38, 37, 2029, maybe around there, I pay the fee. A good 4 years from now, I'll be paying the fee, guys. Because once I save my money and I get my book approved and it's on my cover, my book is not ready to be on Hulu. I'll enjoy my life for a couple more years, work these shitty jobs. And when the time is right, I'm gonna let the gates know, okay, I wrote my book, I want to get this unpublished. And they have that meme behind the scenes, fuck, man. I even wrote his masterpiece, Baron Harry Potter. His book's going more popular than Harry Potter. He has the keys to the kingdom. This is billions for him and his financial control. They know because I wrote the Xanus book and I control the brand, that's financial control for me and VJ. And I have the keys. They can't touch my money. I don't have to sell to them. That's why they'll hopefully be scared when he shares with a garbage wife and we steal all his money. And even then I choose the other choice. I'm not just doing that. No way. I'm not gonna have you destroy my life. I'm not gonna share with the world after causing that fucking mess with my men. I know you want to completely destroy my relationship with my wife. I'm not selling out to you wicked people. I have the keys. This money's mine, Snyder. You're not touching it. There they go. Sir? Ivan, are you really gonna apply to the McDonald's? Yes. This Thursday I'm off. When I get my beer and smokes, I'm gonna apply to the McDonald's on the way downtown. And if I get the job, which I think I might get the job, or that, and I'm saying I'm gonna let the Coco Fruity boss know, give him my 2-week notice. He's like, Ivan, you don't like working here? No, I like working here. The people are nice. It's a family, but the work here is tough on my body. I'm gonna tell him that, like, it's tough on my body, man. He's like, Ivan, I can easily do the dishes. Okay, if you can easily do the dishes, why don't you do the dishes? There's a reason why you don't want to do dishes, because you know it's a lot of work, man. Over 40, when you wash dishes, it's a lot of fucking work, especially when you close. It's fucking crazy. You have like a mountain of dishes, man. Dishes like this high, like all over the dish pit. It's crazy, man. It takes me like an hour and a half, an hour and 40 minutes, sometimes even an hour and 50 minutes to close. 2 hours to close. It's crazy. Yeah. And after doing that dirty work, I have to take out the garbage. Usually a bunch of garbage. And sometimes they also make me mop. So you can only imagine how tired I am when I work there, man. It's fucking tiring shit, man. Yeah, man. Stressing shit. Or is it, even though McDonald's is very busy, all I do is make food. Making food is not as tiring as washing dishes, right? It's still tiring because you're standing for hours making a bunch of food, but it's not as tiring as what? As fucking washing dishes. Washing dishes is tiring, man. Yeah, man. Whereas Denny's is not that bad. Denny's is a lot of work too, but it's not as bad as Coco Fruity. Denny's is not as stressing as Coco Fruity. Denny's are more calm, relaxed. It's not as stressing as Coco Fruity, obviously, Denny's. But the only reason why I'm saying at Denny's is because I want to get that chick's number. And I like working there too. Yeah. I make pretty good money though. I make like my $350, $400 working there twice a week. So it's good part-time money, but yeah, Denny's is not that bad. Whereas Coco Fruity's fucking crazy, man. I'm sick and tired of washing dishes. Washing dishes is annoying. Yeah. Don't hate me, Jim. I'm gonna get that chicken already out and then hopefully get my first girlfriend. If you're pissed off, I'm sorry. Karma's a bitch. You're gonna keep seeing those guys in bad on my back, because I'm not listening to you either. There you go. Oh, everyone will do that to you. I'm like, VJ, I already asked him out you on a date like 2 years ago, man. And she said yes, I'd be hanging out with her this day. I'm not playing around. I'm actually gonna get my girlfriend. And if you yell at me at night and tell me to stop seeing her, I'm gonna ignore you, because you're not gonna stop seeing the guys either. And I'm not gonna let you get your full cake, VJ, because you're a fucking crazy woman. Yeah, man. You think it's okay for you to see the guys, it's not okay for me to see one chick, because you're fucking crazy. You're selfish and you're a fucking hypocrite, man. Yeah. Selfish fucking woman. Selfish bitch, right? Yeah. I'm not gonna listen to you when you cry to me, man. When I tell you to stop seeing the guys, you don't listen. You keep fucking them behind my back. And so I'm gonna get my girlfriend too. I'm not listening to you either. There you go. Karma's a bitch. Don't hate me, I'm saying, yeah. Don't hate me, I'm saying, yeah. Are you bluffing? What you show is you right that? Yes, guys. I'm not lying to you guys. What I showed you, I wrote it. I'm not lying to you guys. I wrote it, man. Masterpiece. Yeah, man. The Last of Us is a masterpiece. I wrote it on my own, guys. I'm not lying to you guys. What you guys read, I wrote that. Holy shit, Ivan, you are gifted. Yes, I am. I'm gifted. When I told you I was gifted, I wasn't playing around. My book is a masterpiece. It's entertaining reading. It's a beautifully written novel. You guys read it, right? It's a masterpiece. Some of my dogs are a bit raw, as you guys caught, but still entertaining enough to keep you hooked more than these other books, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I can be a public comparison when you release your book. Yes, looking at a public comparison, as you guys read, right? There's something about my writing that's very unique. The characters jump on a page. It's more entertaining than these other fantasy novels that you read. More entertaining, more the Rings, as I showed you, right? Yeah. We have an embarrassment in the industry. Because even though Jared Tolkien is a much smarter guy than me, he was an English professor at Oxford University back in the day, right? In the 50s and the 40s, whatever it is. And the 60s, obviously. He's smarter than me. He created like the richest fantasy world ever with the language of the worlds. It's the language of the elves. It's very, very rich, obviously. But even he didn't have the heavenly gift, as his story is not as entertaining as my story, obviously. Richer world building, richer speech, obviously deeper world building, but his story's not as good as mine. His character's not as good as mine, and his story's not as fresh as mine. When you read my book, it feels like life has been breathed into the page. It's very entertaining. Lord of the Rings doesn't feel like that. It feels dry when you read it. J.R.R. Tolkien, even though he was a genius, he had the earthly gift. He doesn't have the heavenly gift like me. That's why even his book is not as good as mine. Richer world building, richer speech, language of the elves, all that stuff. Richer than my book, obviously. Much richer than my book. But my book still is more entertaining read. Because J.R.R. Tolkien didn't have the heavenly gift. Don't hate me, J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm saying, yeah. He didn't have the heavenly gift. He had the earthly gift as to create a world that you have to be a genius. But even his story is not as entertaining as mine. My story is more entertaining than Lord of the Rings. Yeah. 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 Desire? I don't believe you, Ivan. I don't believe you wrote what you showed us. Yes, guys, I did. I'm not lying to you guys. What I showed you, guys, I wrote it with no help. I wrote it on my own, man. And when I told you I was gifted, you guys now understand what I'm saying. Yeah, Ivan, you are gifted. Your story looks fucking interesting. Yeah, it's a masterpiece. The best fantasy novel ever written. There's a reason why my stepmother told me your book's #1, which means Xanus, if I sold out, will be the #1 IP in Hollywood. Something fell down. Yeah, my stepmother told me your book is #1, which means Xanus is a bigger, better IP than Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Marvel, Harry Potter. You know what I'm saying? DC. It's better than all. It's bigger than all those IPs because I wrote it and I'm a son of God. I have the keys. It's also the best story ever told. Like my Xanus movie story is even better than the Avengers movies, even the Star Wars originals. As my stepmother told me, your book's #1. Yeah, better than even the Star Wars originals. And the Star Wars originals are masterpieces. The first two movies, Star Wars and Empire or A New Hope. It was called Star Wars back then, but they changed it to A New Hope. Star Wars and Empire are masterpieces, whereas Return of the Jedi was a crapshoot. It wasn't that good, obviously. I don't really like Return of the Jedi. Samsara? Yeah. Better than the Star Wars sequels. Star Wars prequels, yeah. Better than Harry Potter. Better than Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings, yeah. Look at a masterpiece. Yeah, man. A masterpiece. You're looking at a masterpiece, yeah, man. I'm gonna get more coffee in a sec, guys. Yeah. Easy, Ivan. I can't wait to go Lithia, Ivan. I know. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at a sick movie. BJ plays Lithia, yeah. Obviously. Oh my god, Ivan, I finally get to achieve my dream with you. I finally get to be a big movie star with you and sign that mega deal with Amazon, yeah. You each are going to sign a mega deal with Amazon, 80-20 deal with Amazon, a huge deal. Yeah, man. We have to be movie stars, we get paid our billions for it. It's a dream job, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, feature on the magazines, skyscrapers, news, yeah, man. Living the dream life. Yeah. We're the boss, too, of our film studio. Me and VJ, yeah. I don't know how much money you made off your book, by the way. I made $20 million. You made $20 million off your book, off your masterpiece? Oh my gosh, she's like, holy shit. That's a lot of money. I know it's a lot of money. She's shocked. We just doesn't know what it's like to have that kind of money in her bank. Yeah, she's rich, but she doesn't have billions in her bank, right? She has like a few million in her bank. And now she's sharing the billions with me off the book. Yeah. I don't know, 20 million bucks I make off the book. Yeah. So Ivan, your book deal is the same deal as your movie deal. Yeah. My deal with Lulu is 80-20. My deal with Amazon's movie is 80-20. Well, Lulu it's like 78-22, 78. Because PayPal takes like 1.9% of the pie. But my deal is essentially 80-20 for the book too. That's why I'm not selling. Lulu, I get 80%. For self-publishing, I get 80% of the money. Traditional publishing, I only get 50% of the money. Yeah, my book's at bookstores, and I get the public eye fame. I'm in Hollywood. Jimmy Fallon, but VJ's garbage and trash I'm sharing with the world. I'm not gonna let you do that, man. No way. And I have you steal my money. No way. I have the keys. I don't need you to open the door for me. I can open it myself. And since money's mine, you're not touching it, man. You won't let me touch your trillions around the world. You have me work minimum wage for 40 years, and you hid your wealth from me. This is evil to me. You're not touching a dime of my money, man. Not after I find out that you're the gatekeeper, which means you hid your wealth. You don't want me to be a part of your lavish life. And you think I'm gonna let you take my money? You're crazy, man. The billions of the books for me, VJ, is not for you. You're just a greedy psychopath. You can't stand the fact that me controlling my money and being small on one with VJ and being a multi-millionaire because you have an envy. You're crazy. That's why I gotta give you the keys. I know the gates don't dupe you. The consumer, they're envy. They're crazy people. Yeah. 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 Yeah, fuck, man. Ivan's brand's gonna be more popular than Harry Potter, man. His book series is gonna be more popular. He's gonna be more famous than J.K. Rowling. Yes, I'm gonna be more famous than J.K. Rowling. And J.K. Rowling is the most famous author in the world. She's worldwide famous, and I'll be more famous than J.K. Rowling because my book will beat out Harry Potter. Beat it out critically and beat it out financially, obviously. Because I'm gonna sell more than 600 million copies. I'm probably gonna sell my 700, 800, 900, a billion copies sold. I sell maybe 950 million copies. I make my 20 million off the book. Yeah. Whereas Harry Potter sold 600 million copies. Yeah. No, it'll be more popular than Harry Potter because The Last of Xanus is a better fantasy series than even J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a good series. I never read any of the books. I've seen the movies. I've seen all the movies except for the last one I didn't see. Deathly Hollow Part 2 I did not watch. I'm gonna watch. I saw the first one. The first one was pretty good. But Part 2 I didn't want to watch yet. I'm gonna eventually watch that. I think I don't think I saw Chambers of Secrets. I think Chambers of Secrets and Deathly Hollow Part 2 I didn't watch. But all the other movies I've seen. Harry Potter movies, right? Yeah. I never read the books either. I heard the books are really good, but I never read the books. But my Last Roseanne's fantasy novel will be better than even J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, man. They're a masterpiece, man. And the Gates know that, as my stepmother told me your book's number one. The fact that you said it's number one, that means it beats out Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, all the fantasy books it beats out, and all the other books too, like even Stephen King's books, it beats it all out. You told me your book's number one, Ivan. Which means it's my Zane story is even better than all of Stephen King's horror novels. Yeah. It's a masterpiece, as you guys read, right? It's a fucking entertaining masterpiece of a story. Yeah. Samsara? Yeah. Give me a second. I was gonna go upstairs and get a coffee myself. I'll be back in like, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. Hope you guys join the show. Alright, guys, sorry for the long wait. Well, I'm supposed to get my coffee. I have to use the bathroom too. I took a leak, right? A leak in the bathroom. You guys only waited, good, I don't know, 5 minutes? Yeah, I said 3 to 4 minutes, so 5 minutes you guys waited, right? Yeah, man, my book will be more popular than J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter, man. That's why VJ said selfie. Ivan, you're selfie-made. Yeah, I'm self-made. Yeah. I'm a self-made billionaire like Mark Cuban and all those guys, right? Yeah, Mark Cuban is a self-made billionaire, right? Yeah. What does self-made mean? Self-made means like you became successful by doing everything on your own. Like you were broke, you did everything yourself, obviously. Whereas Donald Trump is not a self-made billionaire because his father gave him a $1 million loan to start his real estate company. So Donald Trump is not self-made, because he had help from his father. His father gave him like a $1 million. He was a spoiled kid. Donald Trump grew up rich. Whereas Mark Cuban and all of them, those guys were broke and everything, and he became a self-made billionaire. Yeah, just like I'm a self-made billionaire. But I have the keys, right? So it's easy for me. But I'm still self-made. I wrote the book on my own. I promoted myself. I came up with this story, the masterpiece. I'm a self-made billionaire. Yeah, I'm all that billionaire right now. Yeah. How mature is Tactics Volume 3? He's so mature that he prays in Volume 3. I almost spoil so for you. You'll see that when you read the book. He's a changed man. You know, Jim Caviezel, Patrick Rice, how he's praying? Yeah. Tactics prays in Volume 3. And before, he's a cocky, arrogant prince. And in Volume 3, he's praying. And that's why I wrote a masterpiece. He's a changed, mature man. And that's why because I've been looking at a masterpiece. This is better than the Rings. I know he's better than the Rings. It's a masterpiece, man. Ivor, are you going to do stand-up comedy when you're king? No. I'm just going to act in movies, be a movie star with VJ. That's enough money. Me and VJ are going to make, I don't know, $20 billion off the movie merchant game. That's enough money for us. We don't need any more money, man. Yeah. The money I make off the book, that's enough money for me and VJ to live off for, I don't know, 1,000 years. 20 billion bucks, 10 billion, 14 billion dollars. You can live all that money for thousands of years. Yeah, 1,000 years, hundreds of years, yeah. So I'm sorry, never have to work again. Yeah. He's a guy, and I don't want to invest in a bunch of businesses. It's just too stressing, yes. I just want to do the Zane's movie, and after we do the Zane's movie, we take our vacation, we enjoy ourselves in Vancouver in our beautiful house, we do stuff, and we get ready for the great escape with Keanu Reeves. The money you make off movie merchant games is enough money. We don't need more money, man. I'm not crazy like the gatekeepers who want to make as much money as they can, and the sharks in Shark Tank. The money you make off movie merchant game off our Sky Source company is enough. We don't need more money, man. That's why I'm not gonna build a park. I'm not gonna build a hotel. I'm not gonna start a restaurant chain. That's stuff I don't really care about. George would tell me, yeah, Ivan, movies, games, merch, that's where you make your money, Ivan. Yeah, because that's glory. That's where me and VJ make the money. The movies. Billions off the movies, billions off the game. The game will be very popular too. Me and VJ in the game. And the merchandise will be popular too. A big seller too, yeah. I'm sorry? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, why is Taki's praying? The only thing I'll tell you, he's facing Eritat down. So there's more to the story, but I don't want to tell you. If I tell you, I'm going to spoil the story for you, man. You'll see what I mean in Volume 3. That's why I wrote a masterpiece, man. Takis is in deep prayer. He prays in Volume 3. Yeah. Prays. How much times does he praise? He prays a few times in Volume 3. So imagine you have a cocky, arrogant prince, as you guys read. I've only seen my castle. I'm really annoyed of this whole farmer thing. Go away. You know what I'm saying? He's a cocky, arrogant prince. And in Volume 3, he's mature and he's praying, man. That's why Peter's I've been looking at our matches. Yeah, I mean, I see the Jesus symbolism in Tactius. Yeah, you guys, when you guys read Volume 3, you'll see what I mean. You'll see the Jesus symbolism in Tactius. He has some Jesus symbolism when you read Volume 3, right? Why do you have biblical symbolism in your book? Well, because I grew up a Christian my whole life, right? I went to church from when I was born to like 17 years old. I went to church like every Sunday. Every Sunday, I went to church with the step family. I went to Sunday school. I was a part of youth and everything. Hence why I know a lot about the Bible, because I grew up a Christian, obviously. And I also watched ABN with Sam Shamoon, Pastor Joseph, and David Wood. I used to watch like all the episodes back in the day, in like 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. You guys remember that? All you fans? Yeah. When Sam was fat and he was a Protestant, he didn't like Catholics, and now he's a Catholic. Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah. That's why I know a lot about the Bible. Because I grew up a Christian my whole life. I went to youth. I went to church every Sunday. I read. Did you read the whole Bible? No, I only read the Gospels. That's it. And I read other chapters in the New Testament too. I did not read the whole Bible, but I read some books in the Old Testament. I believe I read all 4 Gospels, and I also watched ABN. Hence why I know a lot. I know a lot of the good arguments. I learned from Sam Shamoon and David Wood. Yeah, especially Sam. I learned a lot from those guys. Hence why I'm also very gifted in apologetics too, because you guys saw when I debated Arthur, right, on Bible contradictions. Yeah, you did well against him. Yeah, and that's me with very little studying, man. I debated him on the Bible contradictions. I think I did a good job. Some people might think he won. I don't know. I think I beat him, but some people might think Arthur won that debate. But I mean, it's up to you how you judge it, right? Yeah. So Ivan, you can do apologetics too. Of course I can, man. Yeah, I remember when I'm sidetracking. I remember when I wrote on Paul Williams' blog. Obviously, Sam obviously saw it. I have the keys. Obviously, I was destroying those Muslims on his blog. I don't mean to be cocky, but I gave good answers to all their arguments. Yeah, and that's me with very little studying, man. If I really studied the scriptures, I'd be an amazing apologist, man. Yeah. What would you focus on, Ivan? I would focus on biblical topics like Sam. I would stay away from I can even do pretty good in creation versus evolution, because I learned a lot of arguments from Answers in Genesis and Ken Hovind and all those guys. I know quite a bit about the creation versus evolution topic too, right? Yeah, but I would focus more on the Bible, like Sam Shamoon does. If I did apologize, I'm not doing apologize. That's not my dream. Even though apologetics is fun, my dream is to be movie star VJ. It's not doing apologetics. I'm not writing books. My dream is to be a movie star with VJ, not being an author. I'm sorry, that's my dream. Yeah. Yeah, Ivan, you're fucking gifted. Yeah, I know. You can even do apologetics. Yes. I even have a passage that proves Jesus did do a bad deed. I trapped a Christian. They can't answer that question without getting refuted. About being tempted like we are. Yeah. So what did Paul mean when he said Jesus was tempted like we are? He was tempted, but he didn't have those thoughts. So that means he wasn't tempted like we are then, and you contradict Paul. Yeah, but it says he didn't sin. Oh, but if he didn't sin, what's the point? What's the point of even Paul saying he was tempted if he wasn't tempted to begin with? The passage is gobbledygook. It doesn't make any sense. That's why I trapped the Christian with that question, obviously. If you admit that he was tempted like we are, that means when a woman hit on him, Jesus had lustful thoughts towards this woman, which means he committed adultery in his heart. Jesus said, "Whoever looks at a woman lusts after her in his own heart." Lusting after her own heart is mean you have that thought. This woman's fucking hot. I'd bang that chick. Yeah, the moment you think that, you already lusted after her in your heart. So if Jesus was tempted like we are, when women hit on him, did he have those lustful thoughts? If you say he did, then you have a contradiction, because Jesus said, "Whoever looks upon a woman that lusts after her heart, committed adultery." That means you admit that Jesus did the bad deed. You have to admit that's a general statement, and you all have to admit that Jesus did do one bad deed in his life. If you say that Jesus didn't have lustful thoughts, that means you contradict Paul, and the passage not makes no sense, because he wasn't really tempted to begin with. Yeah, he was tempted, but he never had those lustful thoughts. So that means he wasn't tempted like we are, and you contradict Paul if you wrote Hebrews. That's how you trap the Christian. Yeah, but Ivan, like, he was tempted, but there was no sin in him, Ivan. But then, if he wasn't tempted to begin with and he didn't sin, what's the point of Paul saying he was tempted to begin with, like we are, if he wasn't really tempted? The passage on makes no sense. It's gobbledygook. That's why you trap the Christian, obviously. And that's how you admit that Jesus did do one bad deed, because I'm a genius. Sometimes Ivan, yeah, you caught me, man. We can't answer that question without getting refuted. Yes, you can't answer the question without getting refuted. I'm a genius. I have the gift. I can even do apologetics. Yeah, if you're gifted, yeah, I know. I'm gifted. Yeah, man. I'm sidetracking. Yeah. I interpret. I'm sidetracking. I interpret without sin to mean his nature. There's no sin in his nature. He was tempted like we are. He did have lustful thoughts, but there was no sin in his DNA. His DNA is pure and uncorrupt. That's where I see it. Was Christians interpret without sin to mean never doing a bad deed. But if it means never doing a bad deed, the passage doesn't make any sense. So Jesus was tempted like we are, but he was never really tempted to begin with. So why did Paul say he was tempted to begin with? And he actually didn't do a bad deed. And after that, he never did a bad deed after that ever in his life. So he's tempted, but he wasn't really tempted, which means he didn't really do a bad deed, which means he wasn't really tempted like we are. And after that, he never did a bad deed after that. The passage makes no sense. It's gobbledygook. I mean, it makes no sense. Yes. Hence why I trapped the Christian with that question, and they can't answer without getting refuted, because I'm a genius. Yeah. Ivan, he thought also thoughts. Okay, well, now you have a contradiction in the Gospels, because Jesus says, "Whoever looks upon a woman lusts after her in his heart, he committed adultery in his heart." You just admit that Jesus did the bad deed. If you're going to say that he did have lustful thoughts. And that passage now is, it's a general statement, Ivan, stay away from sin. Yeah, but it doesn't mean Jesus never did a bad deed. Yes. And that's how you trap the Christian, and that's how you refute their arguments, Ivan. Yeah. I'm sidetracked. Sounds Ivan, you know your shit, man. Yeah, you fucking trapped us, man. You're a genius. I know. I'm a fucking genius. I know how to trap you. I learned it from Sashamoon. The Sashamoon's good at trapping Muslims with the turning their own arguments against them. He's very good at that. I learned a lot of that from Sam when I watch ABN. Obviously. Like when I debated those Muslims on Paul Williams' blog and everything, I learned all the arguments from watching David Wood and Sam Shamoon on ABN. That's how I knew all the arguments. I'm self-taught, and that's with very little training. Me trapping you, the Christian, with that question, was Christ tempted like we are? That's with very little training, and I'm able to trap the Christian and put them in a pickle. Obviously, they can't answer that question without getting refuted because I put you in a corner. I'm a genius. I learned that from Sam Shaboon, right? Yeah. Sidetracking, yeah. No, Ivan, man, you're butchering the passage. I'm like, no, you're the one who's butchering the passage, not me. Paul said he was tempted like we are, which means when women hit on people, when a woman hits on a human being, every human being has lustful thoughts towards an attractive woman. It's human nature. That means Christ also had those lustful thoughts towards a woman. But if he did, that means you have a contradiction in the gospel because Jesus said, "Whoever looks upon a woman lusts after them in his own heart has committed adultery in his own heart." So you have to admit that Jesus did the bad deed, or you have to butcher the passage. And now you contradict Paul and it's gobbledygook. It doesn't make any sense. No, Ivan, he was tempted, but like he never had those lustful thoughts. That means he wasn't tempted like we are. He was tempted in a different way, and you contradict Paul, and now you have to butcher the passage, and it no longer makes any sense. Because what's the point of Paul saying he was tempted like we are if he wasn't really tempted to begin with like we are? Yeah, Ivan, he was tempted, but he wasn't tempted like we are, Ivan. Well, then you contradict Paul. Paul said he was tempted at all points like we are. Yeah, like human beings. Well, Ivan, he was tempted at all points like we are, but he did not sin. Okay, so if you interpret he did not sin to mean he never did the bad deed, the passage doesn't make any sense. Because he was tempted like we are, but he wasn't really tempted like we are. Which means, what's the point of Paul saying he was tempted at the beginning if he's not tempted like we are? If Jesus was not tempted like we are, what's the point of Paul saying he was tempted like we are? He wasn't tempted like we are. You contradict Paul, and without sin means he didn't do the bad deed. So he was tempted, but he was not tempted like we are, which means he didn't do the bad deed. And after that, he never did a bad deed after that either. Yeah, without sin. Doesn't make any sense, man. What's the point of Paul saying he was tempted like we are if he wasn't really tempted to begin with? You contradict Paul. If you say he was tempted in a different way, that means you contradict Paul. He was not tempted like we are, and which means he wasn't really tempted to begin with. So why did Paul say he was tempted to begin with? And without sin, he never did one bad deed. The passage makes no sense. So he never did a bad deed. He never was really tempted, and he never did a bad deed. He never did a bad deed. Yeah. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it sounds like you caught me. I know I caught you. I'm sidetracking, guys. That's how you free the arguments I have because I'm a genius. You know. Ivan, show us more. No, I can't. Either way, I can't show anymore. My other phone doesn't work anymore, man. It's done. Yeah. I think I broke it because when the case fell off, I remember my phone kept falling down when I was working. I think I broke it. That's why it doesn't work. I'm actually pissed off because I like showing you guys like pictures and everything. My phone fell down. Come on. Steady. I can take the charger out. My battery's at 42% right now, so. See if this phone works. Yeah, it doesn't work, guys. Either way, I don't want to show any more of my book. I don't want to spoil sore for you, man. Yeah, man, I don't want to spoil sore for you, Samsara. Yeah. So Ivan, the Southerners don't believe Taki is the prince. No, not until Cassius convinces Eli. But like, they don't believe he's the prince of Xanus because it's shocking to a Southern that the prince of Xanus would come to the south. If a random Northern comes to the south, the Southerns are shocked. So imagine someone who's a prince claiming to be the prince of Xanus. They can't believe it. Obviously, that's why you get some biblicism with my book, right? Jesus came from the heavens in glory down to earth as a baby. He grew up as a Jew when he claimed to be God, and the people didn't believe it. They just couldn't believe it. And Jesus even gave evidence that he's God. They still didn't believe it. Takis also gives evidence to Eli that he's a prince of Xanus. Even Eli still doesn't believe him. He's an imposter. Throw him in a dungeon. They don't believe it. They can't believe it. Except for Lithia. Lithia has the faith. That's why I wrote a master. My book is amazing, yeah. Yeah, Piers Ivan, looking at a matches, man, they put him on trial. They don't believe he's the Prince of Xanus because the Souths can't believe the Prince would come to the South. Oh my God, Peter. He's like, Ivan, you're looking at a matches, man. This is better than my Lord of the Rings. I don't think it's Lord of the Rings. Ivan, man, I enjoyed your book more in Jared Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. No, Peter. It's better than the Rings. So Ivan, man, I enjoyed the work more in Jared Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. No, Peter. It's better than Lord of the Rings. It's a masterpiece, man, my book, man. Best fans all written. That's why my stepmother told me number one. It's the best fans all written. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So how mature is tactics? You know the way Jim Caviezel acted in Bachelor Rice? Yeah, picture some of that for me in the movie. I'm a cocky, arrogant prince, and all of a sudden I find out my destiny. In Volume 3, I'm a changed man. I'm more mature. I'm mature like Jim Caviezel was in Passion of Rice. I pray. Taki's praise. He's a changed man, man. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. I've been looking at our masters, man. I know, Peter. Looking at it. This is the best fan I've ever written. I know. Best story ever told, man. Masterpiece. Yeah, man. It's a masterpiece, my book. A masterpiece. Yeah, man. A masterpiece. So, Ivan, you do get biblicism when Taki says, I smile for them, yeah. Taki's generation is a lucky generation. Just like the generation when Jesus came, it was a lucky generation too in the Bible when you read it, right? You have the prophets. It says in the New Testament, God spoke to us through his prophets. In the last days, he speaks to us through his son. You got a bit of biblical system there with Tacius. The 10th generation, Tacius II is born, and that's the lucky generation. That's why his father, Tacius the first, he was smiling for the people. He's like, and Cassius like, you smile? He's like, I smile for them. Because no generation is lucky as this one here. The other generations were not lucky, man. But this generation is lucky. And that's why Eritap decides to mark the lands, because he knows this is a special generation. When Tacius II is born, I won't spoil sore for you. What do you mean by that? You'll find what I mean when you read Volume 3. That's why I enjoy Volume 3, man. I don't want to spoil sore for you, man. With the answers, I won't spoil sore for you. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah. Some siren? Yeah. Ugh. After this, I'm gonna take a nice hot shower. I work tomorrow at Denny's again, but Denny's is not that bad. I don't mind working at Denny's. Denny's is not that stressing for me. Whereas Coca Fruity is fucking stressing shit. This Thursday, I'm applying to McDonald's and Tim Hortons. I'm gonna apply there, and if I get the job, I'm quitting Coca Fruity. I like working at Coca Fruity. The people there are nice. It's a family, but I don't want to wash dishes on fucking Saturdays and Sundays alone. Fuck that, man. It's too stressing for me. Yeah. The boss might be desperate. Ivan, like, don't worry, I'll hire another dishwasher to work with you on Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, even if you hire another dishwasher, it's still a lot of work, man. It's fucking stressing, man. I don't like closing at Coca Fruity. It's stressing shit. The dish pit is fucking full. And Coca Fruity is a huge dish pit. It has a huge dish pit. And imagine, like, you have a mountain of dishes all over the dish pit. It's crazy, man. And every time sometimes usually before I go on break, I clear the dish pit, right? Then once I go on break, my 30-minute break, I go to the dish pit and it's completely full. Like with a bunch of dishes. It's crazy, man. I also have to take out a bunch of garbage. And sometimes I have to mop too and do the order. It's stressing shit, man. Yeah, man. Coca Fruity, right? Yeah. Yeah. And the Coca Fruity boss knows what I'm talking about. You might tell me, Ivan, like this is part of life. You have to work hard. Okay, if dishwashing is so easy, why don't you do it? I don't want to do it. Yeah, there's a reason why you don't want to do dishes, because you know it's dirty work. It's a lot of work, man. It's tough on my Ivan, why do you want to quit? Yeah, the work's a bit tough on my body. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, the work's tough on my body. I can work for you for 2 weeks, but after 2 weeks, I'm done. If I get the McDonald's job, I'm going to work at McDonald's. I'm not working here anymore, man. The work is too much. Stressing shit, man, yeah. Yeah. Is your book long, Ivan? Right now I'm at 618 pages, so it's a long book. But once the proofreader edits volume 3, you'll be at 700 something pages. I'll probably have a 700, like 20, 30, 40, 50 page book. 750 page book, maybe around there. Maybe 800 pages around. It's a long book, but it's not as long as Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is like 1,300 pages for the 3 books. Yeah. I don't know, the 750, 800 pages are going to fly by because my book is so entertaining. You're going to keep turning the page, man. It's a masterpiece, my book, man. It's an amazing story when you read it. It's So good, yeah, it's so good, yeah. Yeah. Is A's a difficult book to understand? No, it's not. It's simple and complex at the same time, right? It's a simple story, very easy to understand. It's not like complicated like Lord of the Rings. Like Lord of the Rings is not that hard to understand. Like you have Frodo destroying one ring, but it's tough for me to grasp Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings I have to read maybe 3 or 4 times to really understand maybe 30-40% of the book. Yeah. Whereas Xanus is a much more easier book to understand. The plot is simple, but it's also complex and deep at the same time. It's simple and complex at the same time. But it's easy to understand the book. It's not hard to understand the plot when you read it. Yeah. Yeah. So I understand why Takis had to use a fake identity. Yeah. He was in the South. It's not safe. The Southerners don't like the Northerns. Hence why Eli said your name Takis cannot be used here. And your sword hide it. They can't know you're the Princess Xanus. So Eli never the one who forged that sword for Takis when he was born. And Eretat knows Tacius' name is Tacius. Hence, if they find out there's a guy named Tacius living in Saphius, the spies can find out. And they can report to Eretat, and Eretat might have that man killed. Tacius killed. That's why Tacius had to use a fake identity to protect himself. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. It's an amazing book, man, yeah. Some Sarah? Are the wolves scary in your book? No, they're not that scary. You guys read some section of my book with the wolves. They're not that scary in the book. When I adapt the movie, when I adapt the book into film, that I'm gonna bring the demonic characters to life, the worldling, the actions he uses, looking at devils and demons. When I bring the characters to life, when I make the movie, right? Yeah. When I make the movie, you're looking at devils, as I showed you, right? Devils and demons. Something fucking scary, yeah. Yeah. Do you describe Tactius's descriptions in the book? No, the only description you got of Tactius was a scene with Cleo, Sebastian, Francis. 30 years of age, long black hair. That's all I say. And he's also handsome. That's the only thing you get from Tactius. I don't describe any of the characters in my book. I leave it vague for a reason, obviously. Yeah. Whereas a lot of authors, they go in depth describing even what the character looks like. But if you do that, you're going to bore the reader, man. Hence why I don't do that. Yeah. If you want to describe what the world is like, describe the world maybe in a paragraph, a long paragraph, and that's it. Don't spend like 6 pages describing what the character is, the sword, the door, the horse, and the landscape looks like. Otherwise, you're going to bore the reader, man. Because a lot of authors, they try to wow you with a beautiful, poetic English wording of describing the land. Yeah, it's beautiful words and everything, but the stories aren't entertaining. It's boring. They don't have the magic that I have had to really entertain the fans. They know how to entertain the fans, but not like me. I have the heavenly gift. Don't hate me, Zen. That's why I'm able to entertain the fans when you read my book, right? Yeah. The book's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, yeah, man. Last Smoke. Yeah. Did you really write things with ease? Yes, I did. What I'm showing you guys, I wrote it with ease, man. I wrote it with no help, with ease. I did not struggle writing things. I'm not lying to you guys. I wrote it with ease, man. What you show us, Ivan, you wrote that with ease. Yes. Holy shit, you're gifted. Yes. I'm a fucking gifted storyteller. I have the gift from the heavens. That's why Xanus is money. Money. I said, yeah. Remember that? Yeah. Ivan, you made $20 million off your amazing book. I'm like, yeah, I did. She's like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. I know. It's a lot of money, man. Yeah, live life with that money. Start our own film studio. Yeah, fund the movie for $2.1 million. If I make $20 million off the book, I'll fund the movie for $2.1 billion. That way I give Peter Jackson will give a $700 million budget per volume. Here's Ivan, my Hobbit trilogy was like $645 million for all 3 movies. And you're making each movie for like $700 million. I'm like, yeah, he's like, holy shit, you're calling those out of the water. You're looking at a revolutionization technology, Iron Man. No, $400 million towards special effects? Yeah. Per volume? That's a lot of money, man. Looking at devils and demons, yeah. Amazing action sequences, battle scenes, world building. For the movie, yeah. So Ivan, the answers are powerful, yes. You'll see what I mean when you read Volume 3. They're very powerful. The ones in the South and the North are powerful. Very, very powerful. Really powerful. I don't want to spoil the story. That's why I didn't show you Volume 3. I don't want to spoil the story for you, man. Yeah. That's why Volume 2 is my favorite, right? You can argue Volume 2 is better. It just depends on the art hits you, but I like Volume 3 the best. Yeah. So Papyri and Cornelius are the bravest of the Salarians, yes. When you read the book, Papari and Cornelius are the bravest of the Southerns when you read the book, obviously. Papari's very brave. He's like, we can take Eretat. Then Cassius is like, Papari, don't fool yourself. None of us can take Eretat. But Papari's brave. We can take Eretat. But he's a bit cocky because he held his own against the demon bats. He's like, we could take Eretat, yeah. And then Cassius has to tell Papari, don't fool yourself. We can't take Eretat. None of us can beat Eretat. Yeah, you'll see what I'm going to move on with you. I won't spoil the story for you. Yeah. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah, man. The book is sick. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was just, man, how you do it, man? Every time I read sections of your book, it's so entertaining and your characters are motivated. I know I have the gift. I don't know how you do it, man. God gave me a special gift. I can't tell you my trick. I don't know how I do it. Yeah, the only thing I can tell you is don't spend time dumping the fans with the landscapes and the descriptions of the characters. Otherwise, you're going to bore the reader. Focus more on the characters. That's the only tip I can give you. But you have to have the mind to write good dialogue, because even if you focus on the characters and your dialogue is terrible, your story will not be interesting, right? Hence why you also have to have the brain to write amazing dialogue for fantasy world. Because fantasy is the most difficult genre to get into, man, because you have to create a fictional world and make it feel real and make your characters not feel real. It's tough, fantasy. That's why a lot of aspiring authors, their dream is to write a fantasy novel, but fantasy is very difficult to write because you have to create a fictional world and make it feel real. It's not easy. Romance is romance is difficult too because you have to be good at portraying emotion, right? Because love. As romance is difficult too to write, right? It's difficult too to write romance. Not as hard as fantasy, but it's also difficult to write romance. Obviously. Some Sarah. Writing any genre in fantasy is difficult. Writing a book is not easy, man. You have to be gifted for that, man. You have to be creative and gifted. I didn't know I could write a book until I read sections of my book. I'm like, holy shit, this book is sick. Yeah, I remember when I read books in high school and junior high, I remember I had that thought, man, it must be tough to write a novel. And I wrote a fantasy novel, Bear novels, man. As you guys read section of my book, right? Yeah, a novel, Bear novels. I wrote a masterpiece, man. The book is sick, yeah. Yeah. So I really didn't know you were gifted before? No, I didn't. I had no clue. Obviously, I knew I was creative, obviously, because I came up with the world of things. As you guys read, as you guys saw in my video, I'm currently writing a novel. I said I'm very creative. I knew I was pretty creative, obviously, because I wrote a book before that. I didn't know I was gifted like that gifted until I started reading Yeah. When you made that novel, I'm currently right. When you made that video, I'm currently right now. Did you know you were gifted, Ivan, back then? I knew I was pretty creative. I didn't know I was that gifted. But by then, I was on chapter like 5, and I read Sexual Book. My book was sick, obviously. But it wasn't until I found out I was God, and I started writing my book, and that's when I knew I was gifted, because I'm like, yeah, I wrote a masterpiece. This is going to be the best fantasy novel written. Before, I didn't know I was gifted. I didn't know. After when I started brainstorming things, I'm like, I hope my fantasy novel's good and everything, and I fucking wrote a masterpiece, man. I remember the day when I first brainstormed Xanus. This is back in, like, towards the end of 2011. I started brainstorming my book Xanus. And I did not pen down my first prologue until 2013. So I brainstormed Xanus in 2011, and I kept procrastinating, and finally in 2013 I wrote the prologue. And towards the end of 2013, I wrote my first chapter, the 22 years later that you guys read. But that chapter that I wrote back then was a bit different than what I wrote now. I made a few changes. Obviously, I rewrote a bit of that chapter, the 22 years later chapter, yeah. And I read it, I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking sick. This is interesting. Yeah, I am gifted. Yeah, I'm a gifted storyteller. Yeah, I'm a gifted storyteller. My book is sick. Yeah. God gave me the gift. Yeah. Yeah. So, Ivan, you do give foreshadowing hints of Volume 3, yes. The faces in the sky. That gives you a hint of Volume 3, the ancestors. When Tactius gives a speech to the hostile crowd, towards the end of that chapter, obviously, once he steps down from the stage and he's walking down and everything, in that chapter, a demon face in the sky appears for a split second. It's staring at Tactius, which ties into Volume 3. I almost pulled a sword for you. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah. That's why I wrote a masterpiece. Yeah, man. Masterpiece. Do the people see the face? No. The face appears for like a quick like 2 seconds. A quick flash, and then you see it for like 2 seconds and it disappears. What are those faces? You have the ancestors. The only I'm going to say you have the ancestors. That's it. I don't want to spoil the story for you. Because you guys are probably wondering, what the fuck was that face that Tactius was looking at and all that stuff? Because a good like 4 or 5 times in the book, you have these faces that appear in Volume 1, Volume 2. You have faces that appear in the sky staring at like Aratat and Tactius and all that stuff. You want to know what it is, and when you read Volume 3, it all makes sense. What those faces are, right? Imagine applying on the movie. You have like a demonic face appearing for like 2 seconds, and you have the faces in the north appearing. Looking at a masterpiece. Peter's like looking at a masterpiece. The ancestors are like, yeah, Peter's like, holy shit, looking at a sick movie. I know, Peter. A sick movie. This is Lord of the Rings. No, Peter's Lord of the Rings. A masterpiece. Amen. Hence why Xanus is the best fantasy novel written. Anyways, guys, I talked for an hour and 33 minutes. That's good enough. I hope you guys enjoyed this show. Stay tuned. I'll make a video tomorrow after my shift at Dinty's. This is Ivan. I'm signing off. Peace. Hope you guys enjoyed this show I made for you. Peace out, guys. Don't hate them, son.